Hello everybody, my name is Charles, and these are tips for joining a Teacher's Discovery or Voces digital event so you can get the most out of your experience. Let's get started. Once you've registered for your event, you're going to receive an email that's going to contain a link that says, when the time comes, click here to join the meeting. So at that time when you click on it, it's going to bring up a window that's going to look something like this. It's going to say ready to go, click open Zoom meetings, which is this button right here, and it's going to open your Zoom application if you've got it installed already on your desktop. If you don't have it installed, it's going to then prompt you to install it. It'll say click here to download, and you'll download it and install it. But that's all there is to it. You're just going to click open Zoom meetings. It's going to open it up and take you straight into the meeting. Now once you get there, you may notice that your microphone is muted and your video is turned off. This is normally the default settings for any new participant joining a meeting. It's not always though. Sometimes you'll join a meeting and your microphone might be on. So something to be aware of, it's down here in the bottom left corner. Here is the mute and unmute button, and here is the button to turn on and off your video. And I'll get a little more into that in just a moment. As a courtesy to our presenter and to the other guests that are in the meeting, we ask that you please make sure that your microphone is muted when you join the meeting. We prefer to use meetings rather than webinars, and we do this because we want that interactivity. We want it to feel more like a community, and therefore we want to give everybody the opportunity to share and to participate. And we found the best way of doing that is to use the meetings rather than the webinars. If you are joining from either a laptop or a tablet or a smartphone, it already has a microphone and a camera built in. So a lot of these features are going to be readily available to you at the push of a button. When you go to turn them on for the first time, it may prompt you for permission to use these devices. So you'll have to tell it yes and give it permission so that you can actually use the microphone and the camera. If you are using a more traditional tower-style computer, like a desktop computer, those do not generally have microphones or cameras built into it. Those are separate devices that are plugged in from an external source. So you'll have to have something like a headset, something like this, that will plug into your computer, and probably a webcam. If you join and you find that the video doesn't seem to be working or the audio doesn't seem to be working, you can check your settings here. There's a little up arrow next to both of these, and it gives you a couple of different options where you can select your microphone and select your speaker. So if you have something plugged in like a Bluetooth headset or something like that, it may just be grabbing audio or sending audio to the wrong place. So you'll just simply open this up and select the right one. You may even want to try a couple of different ones to get the desired outcome. And the same for video. If you have more than one video device, you may need to click this little up button and select a different camera. During the course of the meeting, depending on how many people are there at the meeting, you may want to change the view style in order to get the most out of the presentation. And you actually can control that yourself. Up here in the top corner where it says View, there is the gallery view, which is the one that we're most familiar with. That's where it looks kind of like the Brady Bunch, and there's a bunch of squares all over the place, and every square has a person. But there's also speaker view. If you turn this on, the person who is speaking is going to be given center stage, and they'll be much bigger. Everybody else is going to be lined up along the top up here. It's really just a matter of personal preference, which style you prefer, but to change it and change it back, it's just the view button up here. You can go to either one. When your presenter shares their screen, it's going to take over the entire monitor and go full screen automatically. This works great for being able to see everything because everything's really, really big, but you might not want this. You may prefer it to be in a window so that you can still get to your other applications and your other windows. So if you want to exit out of full screen mode, you simply move the mouse around so that this little top bar shows up, and you click where it says View Options, and right there where it says Exit Full Screen, you simply click that button. This will take it out of full screen mode, allowing you to get to your other applications. Okay, next let's talk about interacting with a presentation. You have a couple of different ways that you can do this. The most popular is going to be the chat feature, which is this button right down here at the bottom. Now you may notice that during the presentation this will start blinking at you. There will be a number next to it. That's just telling you that other people are using the chat and there's something here to see. By clicking on it, it's going to open up this little window, which is my chat window. I can move it around wherever is going to be most convenient for me. all of my chats, everybody talking, I want to be able to see that right up here, and I can type my messages here to everyone. Or if I wanted to send a message just to one specific person in a private message, you simply click this little drop down and it's going to list everybody who's in attendance to the meeting. You just select the person that you want to talk to and you can send a direct message just to that person. A quick note about the chat. If you are using the chat to try to communicate to the presenter during their presentation, they may not see it right away. And that's because when you're doing a presentation, it'll often take up the entire screen, and it's hard to look at that little chat window, which takes up even more screen space. So often they'll have it closed, and they may not notice that there's stuff happening in that chat until they get a chance to actually go there, which may be closer to the end of the presentation. So that's just something to bear in mind. If they're not answering your questions right away, it's probably just because they haven't had a chance to get to it yet. Another option is right here where it says reactions. Under reactions, you have a couple of different things you can do. You can wave, you can give a thumbs up, you can give it little emojis. They've got like a whole library of emojis you can use. There's a yes and a no. And most important is this button right here that says raise hand. By clicking on this, it's going to put a little hand next to my window. The presenter will be able to see that you have your hand raised. When they call on you, you can always unmute your microphone to talk to them directly, or if nothing else, it's at least letting them know that you have something important that you need to say or some important question before they go on too much farther. So this is a great way to get their attention without having to interrupt the presentation. Okay, finally, let's take a look at breakout rooms. Some meetings are going to use breakout rooms, and all these are is it's taking a large group and breaking it up into much smaller, more manageable groups. And each one of these groups may be led by their own presenter, or it might be an opportunity for everybody to just talk amongst themselves. There's all kinds of different ways and different reasons why they would use a breakout room. First, your host will select and turn on the breakout rooms. At that point, if you are being automatically assigned a breakout room, it's simply going to move you straight in there automatically. But with other meetings, they may give you the opportunity to choose which breakout rooms you want to go to. If that happens, all you have to do is click this little button that says Breakout Rooms. It'll come up with a list of all the rooms that are available, and you'll simply go to the room that you want to join and click Join. It'll ask you again, are you sure this is the room you want to join? And we say yes. And just like that, you are now in a breakout room. If you find that you have joined the wrong breakout room and you want to move and switch to a different room, there are a couple ways that this can happen. If the host has given permission to do so, you may only need to click on breakout rooms again and simply choose the button that says Choose Breakout Room, and then you'll just select a different room. Others, if they have the rooms locked down, you'll need to ask your host for permission to move, and then they actually have to do it for you. If the host or co-host is there in the room with you, you can of course just ask them per normal, where you would just unmute yourself, or you would use the raise hand feature to let them know that you need to be moved. If you are in a room that is made up entirely of participants and there is no host or co-host in your room, then the button you need is right here under Breakout Rooms, Ask for Help. By clicking on that, it'll say, hey, we're about to invite the host to your room for assistance. And then you'll click the button Invite Host, and the host will get a notification letting them know they need to join your room because somebody has a question. Now you may be thinking, well, why don't we just use the chat feature? Well, if I click on chat, what happens is, even though I have a history of my chat and I saw all of that, now that I'm in a breakout room, the only people who will see my chats from this point going forward are just the people who are in this room. I cannot message other people in other breakout rooms. Now, once we're done with breakout rooms and we bring everybody back together into the main room, then the chat will, of course, work just fine. I'll be able to message absolutely everybody. But as long as we're in breakout rooms, the chat will only communicate with people who are in the same room that you're in. When the breakout rooms are complete and it's time for everybody to come back, the host will initiate the closing of the breakout rooms. You'll get a little timer that lets you know in 60 seconds these rooms are going to close and everybody will be automatically brought back into the main room. You of course don't need to wait for the countdown. You can simply click the button Leave Breakout Room and it will take you back to the main session. Okay, before I go, I've just got a couple of things I wanted to show you real quick. These are just kind of fun tricks that you can do with Zoom to make your experience just a little bit more interesting or a little bit more exciting. One of them is under Start Video, under the little arrow, you have the ability to change your background. I can give myself some green grass or this tropical beach. I'm a big fan of the tropical beach. Ooh. Also under your video preferences, where it says video settings, it has this thing that says touch up my appearance. I'm not entirely sure what that does. One more tip about video that I'd like to bring up is lighting, because it can make a world of difference. I notice a lot of people on video will have a light source right behind them. It's usually an open window or something that's just blasting light from right behind them, and it creates this like a silhouette, and suddenly you look like you're cast in deep shadow. To avoid that, you'll want to do it the other way around. You want that light to be in front of you, casting on you, rather than behind you. One great way to do that is with a lighting kit. These little round lights are fantastic. They just plug right into your USB port. They take up almost no electricity at all. They don't generate any heat, but they can make a really wonderful soft light that you can set right in front of you or right next to your computer somewhere, so that it's giving you a nice bright light source. It'll get rid of all those shadows, and it can absolutely make a tremendous amount of difference. Trust me, when you're on camera, light is absolutely the key. And that's it. Those are my tips for joining any Teachers Discovery or Voces digital event through Zoom. So thanks so much for watching. If you have any questions at all, be sure to reach out to me. I'm going to put my email address right here somewhere along the bottom. I'm going to put it right there. Reach out to me anytime. I'm happy to answer any questions that you have. If you're having any sort of technical difficulties getting Zoom to work for you, or if you just have some questions on how you can make your Zoom experience a little bit better, reach out to me. I am more than happy to help. So again, my name is Charles, and I look forward to seeing you at the next event. Bye now.